Stop. Put your phone down. Don't text him. Don't call him. Not yet. You see, right now, the one thing you want to do the most, reaching out, explaining yourself, checking in, is the exact thing that's silently pushing him further away. I know how it feels when his energy shifts, when he stops texting back like he used to, when your mind goes crazy wondering, did I do something wrong? Does he even care anymore? But here's the truth. Nobody tells you men are wired differently. When you chase, they run. When you pull back, they lean in. In this video, I'm going to show you the psychological switch that makes him obsess over you, without you saying a single word. No manipulation, no games, just a deep understanding of male psychology and how attraction really works. And I need you to stay until the end, because I'm going to share a secret move that flips the power dynamic in your favor. Something he'll never see coming, but he'll feel it instantly. If you've been texting, calling, double texting, and still feeling ignored, this is where everything changes. Do this one thing, stay silent, and watch what happens next. All right, let's dive in. Here's the part nobody really talks about. The reason why staying silent, not texting, and not calling can make him start thinking about you non-stop. It's not magic, it's psychology. And when you understand this, everything changes. See, when someone pulls away from us, our natural instinct is to close the gap. You want answers, you want reassurance, you want to feel connected again. That's human. But men, they're wired differently. For most men, attraction is deeply tied to challenge and pursuit. It's not that he doesn't care about you when he goes quiet. It's that his brain is programmed to value what he earns, not what's handed to him. Think about it. The moment you stop reaching out, his mind starts to wander. Why hasn't she called? Why hasn't she texted? Did she move on? Did she lose interest? That little spark of uncertainty is exactly what flips the switch. Because uncertainty breeds curiosity, and curiosity leads to obsession. But here's the tricky part. Most women panic in this silence. They overthink, they double text, they pour out long paragraphs explaining their feelings, hoping he'll respond. And every time you do that, his brain gets a very different message. I don't need to put in effort. She's always there. She'll always chase. I can take my time. That's the exact opposite of what creates attraction. By pulling back, by doing nothing, you're creating space for his desire to grow naturally. You're triggering the exact same part of his brain that gets activated when he sets a goal, faces a challenge, or tries to win a competition. Suddenly you become the prize. And here's the beautiful part. When a man starts wondering if he's losing you, it taps into his emotional survival mode. That's when his texts become quicker, his calls become longer, and his effort skyrockets. Not because you begged him to, but because his brain can't handle the idea of losing something valuable. You're not ignoring him to punish him. You're resetting the dynamic. You're giving him the chance to remember your value, to feel the weight of your absence, and to make the choice to show up for you. And when he comes back, and trust me, if you do this right, he will. He'll come back on a whole different level, more invested, more attentive, and more afraid of losing you again. That's the power of attraction psychology. And that's why silence, when used correctly, is louder than any text or call you could ever send. Now let me show you exactly how to use this method step by step, so you don't push him away, you make him come closer. Let me be brutally honest with you. The more you chase him, the further he'll run. Not because he doesn't like you, not because he doesn't care, but because human psychology works in a very predictable way. We value what we earn, and we take for granted what's freely given. Right now, if you're the one constantly texting, calling, checking in, double texting, and pouring out all your feelings, you're unknowingly teaching his brain one thing: I don't have to work for her. She's already mine. And here's where the problem starts. When something feels too easy, we stop prioritizing it. That's why when you chase, instead of bringing him closer, you actually trigger the opposite response. His survival instinct kicks in, and his brain starts pulling away to regain a sense of freedom and control. Men are naturally wired to pursue. From the time they're young, their brains are conditioned to chase challenges, solve problems, and win. When there's nothing to win, nothing to figure out, and no mystery left, his energy shifts. Suddenly the texts slow down, the calls get shorter, and the connection starts to fade. And I know how frustrating it feels. You think, If I just explain myself more, if I just show him how much I care, if I just stay available, he'll see my worth. But the truth is, the more effort you put in, the less his brain has to. There's something called psychological reactance. It's the natural human tendency to resist when we feel our freedom being taken away. The moment he senses that you're chasing him, texting non-stop, or trying to make him love you, his subconscious starts pulling away because he feels the balance shifting. That's why the silent power move works. When you stop chasing, you create space. And in that space, his brain starts to miss you. He begins to wonder where you went, why your energy changed, and what you're doing without him. That curiosity, that's the seed that grows into obsession. Chasing pushes him away because it removes the mystery. It removes the challenge. It makes the dynamic one-sided. And no relationship thrives when only one person is investing all the energy. The irony is, the less you try to control him, the more control you actually gain. The moment you stop calling, stop texting, and stop begging for his attention, his instinct to pursue you wakes up. He starts putting in effort, not because you forced him to, but because now he wants to. Pulling back doesn't mean giving up. It means reclaiming your value and allowing him the space to remember yours. In the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how to apply the no text, no call rule, step by step, so you can do less, but make him chase more. Alright, this is the part you've been waiting for. The no text, no call rule. This isn't just about ignoring him. This is about resetting the dynamic and making him feel your absence in a way that triggers his natural instinct to pursue you. Here's how it works. From this moment forward, you stop reaching out completely. No texts, no calls, no late night "I miss you" messages. You give him space, and I know that sounds scary, but this is where the magic happens. When you stop initiating contact, something powerful happens in his mind. He goes from knowing you're there to wondering if you still are. That shift from certainty to uncertainty is what sparks curiosity. And curiosity is the first step toward obsession. At first, he might not react. You might even think, this isn't working. But give it time. Most men need a few days before their brain starts firing questions. Why hasn't she texted? Did she lose interest? Is she seeing someone else? Those thoughts will eat at him. Not because you're manipulating him, but because his sense of comfort just disappeared. He's no longer in control. And when a man feels like he might be losing you, his survival instincts kick in. The key is consistency. You cannot break this rule halfway through. The moment you cave and send that "just checking in" text, the dynamic resets and he regains all the power. You want him chasing, you have to hold your ground. And here's something most people don't understand. The no text, no call rule isn't about punishing him. It's about shifting the energy in your favor. You're showing, without saying a single word, that your world doesn't revolve around him. You're signaling confidence, self-respect, and emotional control. That energy is magnetic. When he feels like you're no longer 100% available, he starts investing more. Suddenly the texts come faster. The calls get longer. He starts showing up. Not because you begged him to, but because he wants to close the gap you created. The hardest part, patience. This works, but only if you stay committed long enough for his curiosity to turn into action. Remember, you're not chasing him anymore. You're giving him the space to chase you. And when he does, trust me, the energy will feel completely different. So now you're probably wondering, if I'm not texting him, if I'm not calling him, how do I actually make him miss me? Here's the secret. You don't force him to miss you. You create the conditions where his brain does it automatically. The first thing you have to understand is that missing someone doesn't come from constant presence. It comes from absence combined with impact. If you've been available 24/7, responding instantly and constantly showing up in his world, his brain never gets the chance to feel your absence. That's why pulling back is so powerful. It gives him space to notice the void you leave behind. But here's the twist most people miss. Silence alone isn't enough. While you're not contacting him, you need to focus on shifting your energy. Instead of waiting by the phone, scrolling through his social media, or overthinking every little thing, you start living your life in a way that radiates confidence and happiness. Post that picture of you smiling. Go out with friends. Start a new hobby. Work on your goals. The key is to create an energy that silently communicates, "I'm doing amazing without you." That energy is magnetic. It creates curiosity. It makes him wonder, why is she so happy without me? Who's making her smile like that? And here's the psychological trigger. When someone feels they might be losing their place in your life, their brain starts releasing dopamine, the chemical that drives desire and craving. Without you saying a single word, his mind starts replaying memories, moments and emotions connected to you. That's when he starts missing you deeply. Don't underestimate the power of mystery. When he doesn't know what you're doing, who you're with, or how you're feeling, his thoughts naturally gravitate toward you. Every unanswered question becomes an itch he can't scratch, and the longer you hold your silence, the stronger this effect becomes. The goal here isn't to manipulate him, it's to rebuild balance. You're giving him the space to realize your value instead of constantly reminding him of it. And when he starts missing you, when that curiosity builds into longing, that's when his effort naturally returns. The less you try to control the outcome, the more control you actually gain. By doing nothing, you create the strongest pull possible, because now he chooses to come toward you. And when he does, it's no longer you chasing him, it's him chasing you. Silence is one of the most underrated power moves when it comes to attraction, but only if you know how to use it the right way. Most people think silence means ignoring someone completely, but that's not what we're doing here. We're not playing games. We're using psychology to shift the balance of power in a way that makes him invest more in you, without you lifting a finger. When you stay silent, you're doing two very important things. First, you're taking away predictability. Second, you're creating emotional contrast. Think about it. When you're always available, always replying instantly, always saying yes, there's no tension, no excitement, no mystery. But when you suddenly change your energy, when you stop chasing, you break the pattern, and that change forces his mind to wake up and pay attention. Here's the part most people don't realize. Human beings are addicted to unfinished stories. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. When something feels incomplete, our brains obsess over it until we find closure. When you go silent, you leave his story with you unfinished. He starts asking himself, what happened? Why did she stop texting? Did I do something wrong? And the more he thinks, the more invested he becomes. But silence alone isn't enough. It's what you do during that silence that makes it powerful. You need to shift your energy, your presence, and your focus back onto yourself. When you live fully, when you grow, when you glow, he notices, even if you're not posting about it constantly, your energy shifts in a way that's impossible to hide. And that shift makes him feel like he might be losing something valuable, something he took for granted before. The reason silence works so well is because it removes the pressure. You're not forcing him to talk. You're not begging him to stay. You're not fighting for his attention. Instead, you're giving him space to choose you. And when a man chooses you of his own free will, without being pushed, his emotional investment skyrockets. He starts showing up differently. He reaches out more. He texts faster. He calls longer. Not because you demanded it, but because his brain now sees you as scarce, valuable, and hard to replace. And let me tell you something important. Men are wired to value what they believe they could lose. If he always knows you're there waiting, there's no urgency, no drive, no fire. But when you step back and let silence create uncertainty, he feels that distance, and his instinct is to close the gap. Now I know what you might be thinking. What if he doesn't reach out? What if my silence pushes him away completely? And here's the truth. If he doesn't make a move when you step back, he was never going to. Silence doesn't push the right person away. It simply reveals who's truly willing to fight for you. The goal isn't to punish him. It's not to manipulate him. It's to recenter your power and stop giving away all your emotional energy without receiving anything back. Because the moment you stop overgiving, the dynamic flips. He's no longer in control of the pace, the effort, or the outcome. You are. Silence, when used with self-respect and confidence, is louder than any words, texts, or calls. It forces him to sit with the thought of losing you. And that thought alone can be the very thing that makes him fight harder to keep you. In the next part, I'll reveal the subtle signals and psychological triggers that make him not just chase you, but obsess over you. Now let's talk about the subtle signals, the ones that don't require a single word but can make him think about you non-stop. These are quiet, powerful shifts in your behavior and energy that trigger his curiosity and make you unforgettable. The first signal is controlled unpredictability. When he can predict exactly when you'll text, what you'll say, and how you'll respond, his mind gets comfortable, and comfort kills desire. But when you slightly change your patterns, when you're not always available, when you don't instantly reply, when your energy feels different, his brain notices. Suddenly, he's wondering what's going on in your world, and that curiosity starts pulling him in. The second signal is confidence in silence. Most women panic when they're quiet, thinking they'll lose him if they don't stay visible. But real power comes from showing, through your energy, that you're fine with or without him. The moment he senses that you're not glued to your phone, not waiting around, and not emotionally dependent on his attention, he feels an unexpected shift, and it triggers his instinct to work harder to win your focus back. The third signal is living your life fully. Without saying a word, your actions should communicate that you're focused on yourself, your growth, and your happiness. When you're genuinely excited about your own life, when you're laughing with friends, pursuing your passions, and glowing from within, he feels it. That energy is magnetic. Even if you're silent, he'll sense that something about you is changing, and he'll want to be part of it. And finally, there's the mystery factor. Don't overshare. Don't broadcast every detail of your thoughts or your day. Let him wonder what's on your mind, where you're going, and who you're with. The less he knows, the more his brain fills in the blanks, and the more space you give him to imagine, the more he obsesses. These signals work because they activate his desire to chase. You're not begging for his attention. You're not proving your worth. You're quietly showing, through your energy and actions, that your value exists with or without him. And when he senses that independence, it lights a fire inside him, a craving to win you back into his world. And when you combine these signals with silence, you create the ultimate pull, the kind that makes him think about you day and night, even when you haven't said a single word. Here's the truth. Attraction might get his attention, but emotional desire is what makes him stay. And if you want him to chase you endlessly, you need to connect with the part of his mind that goes beyond physical chemistry, the part that makes him feel deeply drawn to you, even when you're not around. Emotional desire isn't built through constant texting, calling, or over-explaining your feelings. In fact, the more you push for closeness, the more you risk creating pressure, and pressure kills connection. What truly works is creating an emotional experience he doesn't want to lose. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by triggering something psychologists call emotional imprinting. It's when your energy, your presence, and the way you make him feel leave a lasting mark in his mind. When he associates you with excitement, peace, and mystery all at once, his brain starts linking you to positive emotional spikes. That's what makes him crave more of you. And here's where silence plays its role again. When you step back and give him space, his brain naturally starts filling in the gaps. He replays your laughs, your expressions, and your moments together, and without you having to remind him, he starts romanticizing you in his own mind. That's when desire deepens. But emotional desire isn't just about pulling away. It's also about how you show up when you do interact. When you're calm, confident, playful, and present, you create a vibe that feels refreshing and magnetic. You're not trying to force him to choose you. You're showing without words that your presence is a gift. Another trigger is emotional contrast. When you can make him feel different emotions, laughter, curiosity, comfort, and even a little unpredictability, you activate the reward center in his brain. He starts craving the emotional variety you bring into his life, and suddenly, no one else compares. And here's the secret most people overlook. Men don't just fall for women who are beautiful. They fall for women who make them feel alive. When you become the source of excitement, mystery, and emotional depth, you create a connection that goes far beyond attraction. Emotional desire is powerful because it builds silently. It doesn't demand. It doesn't chase. It doesn't beg. It creates a pull so strong that he chooses you, not out of convenience, not out of habit, but out of genuine longing. And once you trigger that emotional desire, the dynamic between you completely changes, and you'll never have to chase him again. Now, before we wrap up, I want you to take a deep breath, because everything we've talked about today comes down to one simple truth. You are the prize. You don't have to chase. You don't have to beg. You don't have to keep proving your worth to someone who should already see it. The no text, no call rule isn't about playing games or manipulating anyone. It's about resetting the energy between you and him. When you stop chasing, you stop giving away your power, and that's exactly when his instincts kick in to chase you. Think back on what we've covered. You've learned why silence is so powerful, why chasing only pushes him away, and how giving him space actually pulls him closer. You've discovered the subtle signals that trigger his curiosity, the emotional triggers that make him miss you, and how to spark a deeper emotional desire that keeps him coming back for more. But here's the most important takeaway. This isn't just about getting his attention, it's about getting yours back. It's about reclaiming your confidence, your peace, and your sense of self-worth. Because when you step into your power, everything changes, not just with him, but with how the world responds to you. I know it can feel uncomfortable at first. There will be moments where you'll want to reach out, to send that one little text, to break the silence just to feel connected again. But every time you hold back, you're showing yourself, and him, that your value isn't tied to his response. You're showing that you're a woman who knows her worth, and isn't afraid to walk away if she's not being valued. And that shift, that's what makes him go crazy for you. That's what makes him rethink everything. That's what makes him come back, not because you chased him, but because you gave him the space to choose you. If you want him to respect you, desire you, and prioritize you, it starts with one decision. Stop giving him all of your energy, and start giving it back to yourself. Because when you do, you naturally become magnetic, and he won't be able to ignore you, even in your silence. If you found this video helpful, give it a like. Drop a comment below, sharing your experience, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Trust me, we're just getting started. Remember this, when you stop chasing, you stop losing, and when you step back, that's when he finally steps forward.